First, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is being congratulated the world over for his re-election, but after a first term tainted by scandal, his second is set to be tough when it comes to getting things done. And what I mean by that is that legislation will be harder to pass since Trudeau will lead a minority government. His Liberal Party is still the biggest, but it lost 20 seats. The Conservatives, on the other hand, gained 26. Joining me now, Alexandre Sayegh, Assistant Professor in the Department of Political Science at Laval University. Hello, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us today. First of all, what do you make of these results and what should we read into them?
Well, really interesting, actually. I think it will be very interesting to follow Canada's case in the next few years, because I think perhaps progressives in Canada are quite happy with the results in a way. They are happy to see Liberals in power, but are also happy to see that the balance of power will reside with the NDP and the Greens. So it will be very interesting to see how Canada will position itself in the future economy with a balance of power held by the New Democratic Party, trying to hold an alliance with the Liberals. Of course, Conservatives did not make as many gains as they wished when in the outset of this election, and that was perhaps a call on their climate platform. Of course, climate and the economy were both very, very important in this election. And it is my reading that the Conservatives did not have one of their key weapons, which is to say that the quality of life for the average Canadian is going down, because that was not really the case with Trudeau's government. So in a way, Trudeau held his ground in the as far as the economy goes in the last 4 years. So I think this was really an election about climate and the climate economics of these parties.
You mentioned an alliance. Is that what you think is going to happen then? The New Democratic Party teaming up then with the Liberals?
Well, I think that is certainly one possibility. I think that, of course, will bring some stability to a minority government. So I'll very much want to see what unfolds in the next few weeks. It is possible that we will have an alliance, a formal alliance between the Liberals and the NDP. That'll be quite interesting to see how these parties can work together, and even perhaps bringing the Greens in a way into the fold, although they don't need the Greens actually to form a proper alliance. But I very much want to see how the level of political maturity of these different parties, how can they work together after a quite hard-fought election.
Now, minority governments aren't unusual in Canada, but they don't tend to last very long, do they?
No, they don't. They don't tend to last very long. That is a fact. Although they are actually, we are more used to minority governments than the UK in a way. We're comfortable with what people call in the UK a hung parliament. So that's not really a big concern in Canada, but they don't tend to last very long. And therefore, I think some sort of like strategical alliance between major parties in Canada could bring about some perhaps needed stability in the next few years.
So Trudeau going into his second term, what do you see being his biggest challenges?
Climate and jobs that will be created as a result of his climate platform. So how all his climate policies will influence jobs, investments, communities. This will be a major change. So we are talking about a major energy transition in Canada right now. And obviously this is a very polarizing issue, considering how the oil and gas sector is so important in Canada. So I think the biggest challenge is how, and that is something that unfortunately wasn't very properly explained during the campaign, but how the New Democratic Party and the Liberals going to tell all these communities that depend heavily on these oil and gas resources, how are they part of Canada? How are they going to see themselves in the future? What jobs are going to be available to them in this green economy transition? So I think this is going to be the major issue, and this will require a collaboration between major parties and major stakeholders in Canada right now.